Today I have a special treat for you, man. I have my very good friend Chris over at Drip Media Gaming helping me out with today's video. My man, take a minute to introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? Super excited to be here. As Derek already said, I'm Chris from Drip Media Gaming. If you like Zelda, which you obviously do, and everything else Nintendo, come on over and check out what we got going on. But the main reason you need to come over to the channel today is to finish this list. We have another video just like this on my channel right now where we have 5 more things that we love from the Legend of Zelda series over the last 35 years. So yeah, it's a 2-parter. So if you want to see the rest of the list, check that out. But again, man, thank you so much for having me over here. I'm so excited to do this.
In today's video, with the help of my super special guest, we will be going over 5 of the most insane and epic moments in the Legend of Zelda series in order to celebrate the anniversary of the Legend of Zelda. Keep in mind, Zelda Crew, this list of moments and cutscenes in the series are our own unique opinions, so try to be empathetic to that, as well as everyone else's thoughts when you're down there in the comments today. Chris, my guy, I cannot be more excited and honored to be able to have this conversation with you and our amazing Zelda community. Hello and welcome to Zelda Theory, D-Rock here, and this channel is your #1 source for any and all things Zelda. So if at any time you find value during our conversation today, do me a huge favor, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe, turn on all those notifications for weekly Zelda content. Your time means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate you being here. Also, for today, don't forget to check out my good friend Chris's channel, Drip Media Gaming, for his incredible insight on this topic as well. All of his content information will be listed and linked in the description below. Easily one of the most iconic cutscenes to me in The Legend of Zelda is in Ocarina of Time when you go to the Forest Temple. Well, before you go to the Forest Temple and you're at the entrance to the Forest Temple and you see that little stump of the tree where Saria, however you say her name. Again, I'm not good on the pronunciations and I'm working on it, but you see her where she was sitting back in the past and Link just kind of stares at it. And then out of nowhere, Sheik comes and talks to Link, and we all know what happens from there. But to me, this is a pretty iconic and epic moment for me as the player because it just shows the raw emotion of Link, and that's something that you didn't really see in the series. Ocarina of Time kind of introduced that, and for the people that think that Link never shows emotion, you can just tell in this cutscene, just the way he walks into the entrance of the Forest Temple, you can just tell that Saria meant so much to him as a friend. And then Sheik comes in and just does what Sheik does, and we all know what happens here. So this is a pretty epic cutscene for me, and it just stood out for me among the rest, just because Link and Saria had that bond and she was no longer there, or so Link thought at that precise time. All right, Chris, the floor is all yours, my guy. What you got for me?
All right, so obviously a newer favorite moment of mine, but definitely way, way high up there on the list. And I'm talking about the moment when you leave the Shrine of Resurrection in Breath of the Wild for the first time. For me, this is gonna go down as one of the most iconic moments in the entire history of Zelda. Not only is it the first time you see this massive open world that you're about to explore, but this also marks the first time that we get a massive open world in a Zelda game, and as we already know, it's not gonna be the last. I just kind of feel like this moment marks the beginning of the new chapter in this series of games. A lot like Ocarina of Time did back in 1998 when we got our first 3D Zelda, I feel like this is the next chapter. This is where we're going. So to me, this is one of the biggest moments in Zelda history ever. It may not be to a lot of people right now, but I think as this game ages and we look back at that moment, I think a lot more people are gonna start to agree with me on this.
Now, another insane and epic moment for me personally in the Zelda series is when in Majora's Mask, so everybody knows Majora's Mask, and if you don't, go play Majora's Mask because it's one of the best in the series. In Majora's Mask, you basically have 3 days to stop the end of the world. For a little bit of context to the game. Now, me playing this as a young little kid, I had no idea, and I guess this is a spoiler, quote unquote, I had no idea that you can actually manipulate time in Majora's Mask and that you could stop basically the end of the world end of Termina in Majora's Mask, and I always struggle because I literally thought you literally had 3 days and that was it to beat the game. So I never got far at all. I probably didn't even get past the first dungeon because I always got sidetracked from what I can remember. And seeing that game over screen just made me feel like, oh, what am I doing wrong? It was so epic. Like seeing the moon fall and then just the flash and then you lose everything and then you start back at day one. I can't count how many times I actually seen the game over screen in Majora's Mask. Luckily, I grew up and I realized that you could actually slow down time. You can speed up time at any time you want, which is pretty important for Majora's Mask. Everybody knows what happens at the end of Majora's Mask if you don't finish it in time. So one of the most iconic scenes in Zelda for me. Majora's Mask as a whole, just for me as a Zelda fan, holds a special place in my heart just because it was one of those games that I can never legit beat as a kid, and it was just super hard for me. All right, Chris, what else you got, man? We're all dying to hear what you got to say.
All right, this one's a little bit weird, but stick with me. The Wind Waker is one of those games in the Zelda series that was criticized for its art style, and it was too kiddie, it was too cartoony. I was one of those people. I was not happy with the art style when it came out, but you know, obviously things have changed. But for as cartoony and kiddie as that game may seem on the surface, there's a lot of dark stuff going on there. Not even mentioning the fact that the entirety of Hyrule was flooded, killing off thousands of people, entire races of people. All that stuff aside, I think the most iconic moment in that game, and probably the darkest moment in that game, is the final blow to Ganondorf in the final boss battle. Now again, going back to that cartoony style, you wouldn't think that they would put something like this in that type of game, but they did. Link jumps straight up in the air, takes his Master Sword, and just drives it right down into the forehead of Ganondorf. When I first saw that, I don't really want to say shocked, but I was very surprised. I did not expect to see that in this game. And I think that moment is what kind of really opened up my eyes to how dark the undertones of this game actually are. I didn't really think about it all that much until that happened, which, I don't know, that may just be me not paying attention, but I think the everyday casual gamer would probably be in the same position that I was in. Not really paying that much attention, and maybe not even paying that much attention after, you know, something like that happens. You know, when somebody gets stabbed in the head, I tend to pay attention to that. But I do think that moment in Wind Waker is a very, very iconic moment in the series and the game, and I think it really shows that you can have an art style like that and still do really whatever you want with it. It took me all the way up until the HD version was released to even play it. After playing it, obviously I can see now that was a mistake.
Another insane and genius and epic cutscene for me as a Zelda fan was back in Skyward Sword at the end of the Skyview Temple. You fought against Girahim for the first time. This dude is just flat out creepy. And Zelda nailed his character flawlessly, in my opinion. Just so creepy Girahim is. He kind of talks in this weird, like, demeaning way, and it fits his character brilliantly. Just the way, this cutscene is just so awesome to me. It's just the way, like, Link is like, dude, I'm going to completely mess you up, man. And then when he says, did you really just draw your sword? And he calls him a fool. It's an epic cutscene. And when he flies behind Link and does that whole tongue thing, that's just iconic. How can you not love this cutscene? It was the first time we really fight against Girahim. We get a big story plot development, and it was just an epic scene for me as a Zelda fan. And it's something that stood out to me all of these years. It's another reason why I'm so excited for this remake of this game, just to see all of this in glorious HD. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. Now for more Zelda awesomeness, be sure to stick around and click on either of the videos here coming up in a few to dive into more Zelda content that I have created on this channel. Also, check out Drip Media's channel. He will be listed and linked in the description as well. Thank you so much, Chris, for your time. Be sure to turn on all notifications if you are new, subscribe, and remember, it's dangerous to go alone. Click on another Zelda video right now. I'll talk to you over there.